Welcome back to another RPO College Football Podcast. My name is Jerome Jones, and I'm here with my guy, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Great to be here on a Saturday game day. We're super excited to be here. We miss you guys, man. We've been away for a little bit. But we're back. We're back like we never left you. You know how it is. It's funny. I got my Michigan stuff on. You got your Notre Dame stuff on. How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling right now? I mean, I know. I missed the game a few weeks ago.
If you're asking me how I feel about Notre Dame, I feel like it's been an okay season, but not quite what I want it to be.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, you guys you only got two losses right now. You just came off of a huge win against USC a few weeks ago. So I can understand the roller coaster feelings with you guys. You had three really big games. One of them, Ohio State. I think y'all should have won that game. Especially the fact that you only had 10 people on the field in that last play. I know that hurts.
Okay. See, this is the thing for me. I never know if I should continue or if I should just wait for him to come back on because he should be back on any second, but who knows? And I don't know what game he wants to lead off with, so I will just sit here and kind of wait for a minute.
Sorry about that, guys. You know how my internet be sometimes. But y'all about to go to y'all about to go to USC, and you're like, man, we got a big game, and we already got two losses. How are we gonna feel about this? And you guys rose to occasion. I thought it was a good game. I'm super happy y'all won. Y'all made Caleb Williams look very pedestrian in that game. Let's real quick. I know that's not on our list for this week, but I really want to hear what your thoughts about that game.
Notre Dame's defense played as well as they probably could play. They, like you said, made Caleb Williams look like he's not the best quarterback in college football, even though he is. They pretty much shut down USC's run game, so that really helped out a lot. Again, you shut down the run game, you get to the quarterback, you're probably going to win the game. I mean, offensively, we did some good things there. It's really hard, Jerome, because of the inconsistent play from week to week. You know what I mean? I mean, like Ryan will say to me, and people say, "Yeah, well, Notre Dame's an incompletion away from being 6-1 or 7-1." And it's like, yeah, and I understand that. I do. The Ohio State game was a bad game because, we
can't play with hypotheticals, man.
No, man. Like, that's my thing. Every game comes down to one or two plays that either you do make or you don't make.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about this all. That's what I mean. Like, if I wanted to, I can nitpick each game and say, well, if this happens, we win, or if this happens, we lose. So I don't go there. I hate that. I mean,
yep, definitely.
I mean, look at it like this. Like, I could go back to if Mike Wilcox intercepts Joe Montana 3 plays before he throws a touchdown pass to John Taylor, they lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If the Eagles last year, if the interception or the pass interference at the end of the game, or the punt return, or the Jalen Hurts fumble for a touchdown, if any of those 3 plays don't happen, the Eagles win.
Mm-hmm.
But they did.
They didn't. Exactly.
Okay. Notre Dame didn't make that play against Ohio State, so we lost.
Correct.
Okay, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I don't look at I could also say, yeah, well, if not for a brain cramp by Duke at the end of the game, we lose to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't like going the what ifs game. Okay, all I know is We didn't play well enough to win these games, and we did play well enough to win we didn't play well. Right, we didn't play well enough to win these games, and we played too bad and we lost these games. And I don't get into like that stuff. I don't.
Correct.
Like,
Correct. 100%. 100%.
To me, in the end, you win the games you should win, and you lose the games that you should lose.
Correct. I agree.
All.
Definitely. Well, to get on the flip side of that, obviously, I'm a Michigan guy. It seemed like, me coming in and be like, oh, rainbows and flowers, and we're undefeated right now. We've been looking a lot better, playing some of these lesser teams and actually really blowing them out and stuff like that. So, ranked number 2, you should be like, I'm a Michigan fan, whatever. But it's not all rainbows and butterflies right now, because obviously, the controversy that's going around with my team right now. And I don't know if it's going to be the end results to that. Is that going to be a thing where Harbaugh gets suspended again? Is it going to be they're going to take some stuff away from my team? Are they going to this and that? Very briefly, Ray, what's your whole take on the whole stealing signs in Michigan right now?
I mean, of course, I'm not crazy about it, Jerome. Mm-hmm. But if you want me to be honest with you, I think it's been going on forever.
Yeah,
I do. I think if you remember going back to New England with Spygate, I honestly think the reason why they didn't press the issue, because if you'd have pressed the issue and you'd have cornered Bill Belichick into a corner, he'd have been like, yeah, I learned this from this guy, and we've been doing this for 35 years. Why are we complaining about it now? I mean, again, I don't like it, but I think it's been going on for a long time.
Correct.
I do. And honestly, maybe if you're a team, maybe you should change things up every once in a while, just so you make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, in baseball, they've been doing it forever, changing certain signs, because we know that in baseball they've been stealing signs for 125 years. Mm-hmm. But in baseball, it's different. Here's the difference. You're stealing a sign from a player on the opposing team on the field. You're not doing it on the sidelines.
Yeah,
and that's a little bit different. If you watched the Phillies play last week, or not to bring up a bad subject because we lost, but our reliever literally against the Braves dropped the ball so the guy would be moved from second to third base, because they knew Atlanta were stealing their signs. So again, what are we going to do if they're doing this? We got to do this. If you know Michigan's stealing signs from you, if you think that's true, then do this. If I signal in this, it's going to be this now. It is up to you to change. I'm not saying that Michigan's right or wrong. I know it's been going on for a very long time, man. So let's not act like it hasn't. I know.
Yeah.
You know what bothers me about it, Jerome? Honestly, if it's a Big Ten team, they will call you on it. If you're an independent like Notre Dame, they will call you on it. Why is it the SEC guys do this stuff and they get away with everything?
Yeah, and I was listening to the Atlanta radio the other day, and it was talking about the subject as well, and it was saying a little bit of that too, which is funny because, there was obviously here in Atlanta, it's SEC network, and they were saying, they only getting caught because they're a Big Ten school, and they admitted it. They said they're only getting caught because they're a Big Ten school, and they were saying the same things. Everybody still signs, and I was very impressed by the announcers or the radio commentary guys that were saying that, because I'm like, man, they're in SEC, and they're kind of admitting that, man, everybody does it. They only getting caught because it's Michigan.
The whole NIL thing only came around because, honestly, I think Big Ten teams and some other teams were tired of the SEC paying everybody and getting away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing, though. So now you have the NIL, and that's going to counterbalance what the SEC has been doing for 100 years. Let's be honest about it. They've been doing this. They've been paying their players forever. Charles Barkley comes right out and say, who went to Auburn, by the way, and says, I thought all college players got paid. because the SEC teams have been paying these guys forever.
Yeah.
Now, but here's the thing. So now the SEC is going to be even worse now with the NIL stuff, dude.
Mm.
So that's where you think you're taking care of the problem, and technically you're just piling onto the problem.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. And here's my number one issue, and I think I've said this before, and I know that people are going to say it. If it continues to build this way, I don't want to hear you can't criticize college players anymore. They're getting paid now. They are professionals. I can be professionally ridiculed or criticized with my job, and so can they.
Definitely. No,
Sorry.
I agree.
You're opening up the big boy bag. Time to treat it like a big boy. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the whole dynamic is very interesting. I just hope that it doesn't the NCAA don't crack down on the players or takes it away from the players, like taking away, a playoff eligibility or something like that. Because I know they did that in the past with
to build on that, what bothers me from is that they may use that to keep certain players out of bowl games.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do if they do that? You're honestly, we all know that gambling is the biggest reason why pro football is as huge as it is. We all know that. You're opening up a huge can of worms, though, man, because now you're going to leave it up to people in the office deciding who's going to play from week to week eventually. And that bothers me because you know how I feel about lawyers. Keep them away from college sports for as long as you can. Because once they're in full, it's never the same again.
Yep.
I hate to say it, man. When agents were family friends back in the 60s, early 70s, it was okay. Now they're just lawyers, dude. Now you've opened up a can of worms. Now you can't even find out good information unless you go to certain lawyers, certain agents. It's horrible, man. Yeah. I don't need lawyers to be involved. I definitely don't need the government to be involved. This government is a shit show. They should not be worried about sports in general, period. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, even soccer are multi-billion-dollar industries. U.S. government, worry about yourself. Look in the mirror and look at what is going on in this country and clean that up before you worry about cleaning up pro sports. Please.
No, I agree. Well, let's get to our regular program podcast right now. I know we went on a little tangent with that. I do like discussing stuff like that though, right? So I thank you for
I just think
participating that way.
Here's the thing that people need to understand with me. I only care about what's good for college sports.
Same.
I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about what players are being benefited from it. I don't care what agents are being benefited from. All I care about is keeping college sports as much as a college atmosphere as it possibly can. Because once you take it away from the fans, there's no going back, man.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's get to our Week 8 recap, guys. So we're going to talk about every game that was in Week 8. Well, not every game, but we're going to talk about the top games in Week 8. And we're going to start off with a little rivalry right here. We're going to start off kind of big. I know we had a couple of other games that we were going to talk about, Red, but I want to make sure we have some good timing. So Penn State versus Ohio State. Good game into the end of the fourth quarter. It's a very close game. Ohio State did win 20-12. I did get a good glimpse of most of this game. At halftime, it was 6-10, and then Ohio State opened it up at the end. First and foremost, Ray, what you think about this game? I think we both thought this was going to be a close game. I actually picked Penn State to win. You had Ohio State. What was your total thought on this one?
that James Franklin's a bad game coach, like I usually think.
I know it. That's literally gonna be the first thing you said.
If you look at his roster is probably as good or maybe better than Ohio State.
I agree.
When is he going to start playing like his roster is better than Ohio State, or as good, I should say?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, I just don't understand. Like here's my, and I hate to get back into Notre Dame. I think James Franklin is a great recruiter. He's absolutely a phenomenal recruiter, dude, without a doubt. Just like I think Marcus Freeman is a very good recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder about Marcus Freeman's game coaching. I know James Franklin's not a good game coach. That's the difference. I still wonder about Marcus Freeman, and I know that James Franklin is not a good game coach. James Franklin needs to find himself an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that he can just give the reins to, let them run their squads, their side of the ball, and just be more worried about effort, time management, timeouts, because he's horrible at those things, and he needs to clean the shit up, okay? Yeah. I'm talking from – I don't – like my dad was a huge Penn State fan, and I don't dislike Penn State. Mm-hmm. But they're as good a roster as anybody in the Big Ten, except for maybe Michigan's a little better in the trenches than they are. I got that. But they're as good as just about anybody in the Big Ten, but they don't play like they are.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah. I think this game was it was, like you said, a closer talent a team that I've seen a Penn State versus Ohio State team in a while, which is pretty much the reason why I thought this game was going to be I thought Penn State was going to beat Ohio State. And my biggest thing was that I thought Penn State was going to run the ball. They barely ran the ball. I mean, they had 49 yards on the ground.
That's my other thing, Jerome. 49 yards rushing. Nicholas Singleton runs the ball 9 times. Is averaging over 5 yards a carry, but runs the ball 9 times in a close game. By the way.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird kind of calling because, Penn State was, don't get me wrong, Penn State defense was really good. They had 3 sacks against Ohio State. They looked very good. But, they were allowing Marvin Harrison Jr. to get plays. And one of the biggest plays was that touchdown by him, Mm-hmm. And he just literally just ran. He ran like they always do, ran that crossing route and ran right up the field and got that touchdown and made it look so easy. But, that's what Ohio State likes to do. They've been doing that for years. They got their best player. Why not double up this guy, And I feel like there was of covering him a lot in his game, which, was their ultimate demise, I think. I think they were just relying on their front 7 to get there and to be able to get to McCall, and they were getting to him, but also you got to understand who's on the opposite side of that field, they have a receiver that's probably going to go top 5 next year.
And again, your best player is Nicholas Singleton, and you're getting the ball to him 9 times. You threw the ball 42 times. Your quarterback didn't even complete half of his passes.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Drew is not playing. Why you keep throwing it? He was getting harassed the entire game. Why are you keep throwing the ball?
I didn't understand, Jerome. I mean, I didn't get to see the game live.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the highlights, and I watched some of the game, in the crunch time of the game. Big plays, like you said, Marvin Harrison just running down the sideline like you didn't know who he was. You know who this guy is. I mean, you let the one player you couldn't let beat you on offense beat you. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you could argue that Penn State's a better offense than Ohio State. You absolutely could argue that.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like it.
Nope. And you're right, Ray. It was a lot of that was coaching. I mean, like we said, you got to run the ball. You got a guy on the opposite side of the field that can change the game, run the ball, keep the time possession, keep the ball out of his hands. And honestly, they did a terrible job with that because Ohio State had a lot of opportunities to keep trying and trying, and then finally they figured it out, and that's because they had time to do that.
Well, was it they were running? Penn State was running a four deep shelf defense against him. I understand.
Yeah. Correct.
But then the one time when they blitzed and Marvin Harrison just run an easy crossing route,
yep,
wide open.
Yep.
Yeah. And I understand it's one play. This is what annoys me. But it was only one play. It was only.
But he was turning them up the entire game, though.
Right.
He just wasn't in the end zone until that play, but he was turning them up the entire game.
Yeah.
So
again, you can't take the one guy on the offense that I know can beat me on any given play, and just let him have that type of a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, you can't. You run the ball for 49 yards. You're Penn State, and you ran the ball for 49 yards.
Yeah. By the way, I think they say if I'm not mistaken, I think they say he was targeted 16 times. Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna look into that. I think it said 16 times, which is insane.
I just don't understand. I didn't understand.
11. Yeah, 11 catches. So yeah, the 16 targets sounds about right.
You threw the ball 42 times in a game where it's a one-score game.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
And I don't want to kill James Franklin because I know the guy has done a really good job recruiting at Penn State, and they're a good team, but they don't play like they're. Whenever they play Michigan, Ohio State, they play tight. I don't know why that is. It used to be like Michigan used to play tight against Ohio State. Well, they beat that ghost. Now it's time for Penn State to beat the ghost of, you're as good as any team in the Big Ten, but you're not playing like you're as good as any team in the Big Ten.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that was an interesting game, man. Penn State had the chance to win. I was, really hyping this team up before the season. And hey, they only had one loss of the season, so it's not like they was a terrible team. But man, I think they lost a big opportunity there in that game.
They let Michigan, they let Ohio State, who, don't get me wrong, Ohio State has some good players on defense, but they're not a great defense. But Penn State made them look like a great defense.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's get to our next game, and that's going to be USC versus Utah. So Utah beating USC losing 2 weeks in a row. It was 6-0, now they're 6-2. Utah beat them 34-32. Right, I'll be honest. You know how much I like Utah, but I didn't see Utah winning, especially with their quarterback situation. But hey, man, Barnes did his thing out there. His completion rate is, but 14 out of 23, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick in that game. But what you think about this game, man?
Well, 2 things. For one, we all know that Southern California's defense is not very good. It's not.
Yeah.
Well, what you saw was the exact opposite of what you saw at Penn State and Ohio State. You saw Utah say, yeah, UCLA's quarterback is good. So what are we going to do? We're going to run the ball, and we're going to keep him off the field and make him beat us with not a lot of time left on the clock. And honestly, you saw – and Utah's a team with their third quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran the ball and made their offense balanced enough where the kid competed and threw 3 touchdowns. Again, only threw for 235 yards, 14 completions. But again, did enough on offense to say, you know what, and you know what, I think we both picked Southern California because we didn't think they were going to lose 2 games in a row.
Correct.
But we didn't see Utah come out and literally just saying, you know what, we're as good as you are, and we're going to smash the ball down your throat and show people we're as good as you are, unlike what Penn State was willing not to do.
Definitely. No, I agree, Jackson had 26 attempts running the ball for 117 yards. They was just going down their throats with Jackson, and they were literally doing play action, getting touchdowns off of that, and like you said, it was really keeping the ball out of USC's hands. Caleb Williams didn't have a touchdown in this game. He was very efficient though, 24 for 34, but no touchdowns. They barely was able to run the ball because Utah really had the ball for a long time. They destroyed this defense. They really did. They was like, we're gonna be more physical. We're gonna march up and down this field. We're gonna keep running. We're gonna keep running. We're gonna keep running. Oh, play action got you. And that was a good game plan. They did what they had to do, like you say, on a third quarterback. That's very impressive. Very impressive.
They made it so Caleb Williams didn't have too many explosive plays.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they ran the ball, kept their offense balanced enough where USC was pressing a little bit to try to make more plays, and they just weren't there to be made. And honestly, when you look at it now, Utah's defense is better than theirs.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Rising's coming back this year or not. Do we know that? I don't know that.
It's looking like it's not. I mean, they keep saying like he needs a couple more weeks, and it feel like it keeps getting extended. It feel like it keeps getting extended, and I don't know, man. I mean, he's been out over it. Not a year yet, because that was in the playoffs.
Like 6 months, though, 7 months, right?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. Again, we talk about Utah taking the strengths of their team and beating a team like man. We know USC's offense is loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback's the best player in college football, and I'm not ever going to say otherwise, just because he struggled against Notre Dame. And like you said, if you look at his stats, it looked like he had a good game, but not a lot of explosive plays, and that's where Utah won the game. They didn't allow USC to make too many explosive plays, and when USC scored, they came right back and ran the ball, huge clock, and really didn't give. If USC has the ball last, they'd probably win the game, but they made sure that didn't happen. So good for Utah.
Definitely. So, quick question before we get off of this subject. USC's done. I mean, I feel like a lot of us had USC in the playoffs.
They're done.
They're done.
They're done, dude. Like honestly, even if you're a staunch USC Southern California recruit supporter, you can't look at this team now and say they're a top 4 team in college football. They're not, dude. Mm-hmm. And it's a down year. So could they make their way back into it? Yeah, if they beat UCLA, I think they play them this week, and they win a bowl game or a conference championship game. Could they find their way back in? Yes, they could. But I don't want to see Southern California. I don't want to see them play against them because they're not going to beat them. I mean, I hate to say, man, if Notre Dame could put 48 points on you, what is an Alabama or Georgia going to do to you? And Jerome is frozen again. All right. Well, then what I'm going to do is this. I don't know what game you wanted to go to next. Now he's gone completely. Okay. So what I will do is this. I'm going to go into the Miami Clemson game. Hold on a second. I'm looking at my stats right now. I wish I had it in front of me, but I do not. So I'm going to say this. I think Clemson is another team losing to Miami. And don't get me wrong, Miami's not a bad team. Okay, I'm going to continue this because Jerome's telling me he's going to be back in a minute here. So I have Clemson, Miami winning a big game against Clemson, and Clemson has 3 losses now, so they're completely out of everything too. They're done. I don't think Miami is a world beater. They're an improving program. They went and had a brain cramp a couple weeks ago. I think it was against.
What's going on? Sorry, guys. I know you're talking about. I know you're talking about the Miami Clemson game.
Yes.
I'm gonna get right back into that in like 2 seconds, but I want to talk about one last thing with the USC because while you was talking, I was looking at their schedule. Washington, Oregon, UCLA end their season. Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. Now these are high-flying offenses. If their defense is going to be playing the way they are, that's a tough stretch. And if they do survive that, they still have to go through the championship game too to get to the playoffs. So that's going to be a tough stretch for USC. So I hear what you're saying as far as their.
I just think if you watch them play against Notre Dame, you really think that's a top 5 team. I just don't see that. I mean, on offense, they're a top 5 team, but on defense, they're a bottom 25 team.
Correct.
So I mean, you gotta balance the two.
Yeah.
And it is a down year for college football. We don't really have one program that's standing out above all, except for Michigan, has established themselves that they're a top 2 or 3 team without a doubt. Everyone else is still up in the air. So could USC still land on their feet and find their way in it? I guess it's possible. They take care of them last 3 games. I wouldn't put them in it though.
Correct. Cool. All right, sorry about that. So I'm gonna go through the Miami Clemson game real quick. So Miami beat Clemson 20-28. Very close game with two double overtime game. Clemson is now 4-3. I don't think I've ever would have thought they would have been 4-3, but they're a 4-3 team right now. First, let's talk about the game, and then we're going to talk about Clemson as a whole. But go ahead, Ray. I'll let you continue what you were talking about.
I think Miami is a good team. I think they're except for a brain cramp a couple weeks ago where they should have just fell on the ball and killed clock. They very easily could be a 5-6-1 team. Mm-hmm. And it's just a shame that they didn't get that done. Honestly, if I think that Miami is a talented team who doesn't their defense is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Their offense needs work still.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. Offensively, they're a good team, led by Williams, their quarterback right now. I think this is the thing too. It's Clemson gave Shipley 15 attempts, which isn't like a terrible amount to give a running back, especially in the passing league. But the man only had 4 yards. They were shutting him down, which made it very one-dimensional because Klubnik was passing 34 times. He only had 18 completions out of the 18 times. Now, he did have 2 touchdowns. He also had a pick in that game. Miami's defense was playing pretty well against this Clemson team. They were playing really, really well. It was Miami's offense that was kind of stagnant a little bit. They kind of got it together in overtime. But Miami's defense looked really good in this game.
No, I've watched Miami play, and again, because I'm a Dolphins fan, mm-hmm. I don't really care about the Hurricanes. I get a lot of their information comes to me.
Yeah,
I think their defense is good. I really do. I think their offense is a work in progress, but I think their defense is good. I think that Miami is a team that in a couple of years could be a power type of a team again, as long as they recruit well. Mario Cristobal is a good recruiter. he's another one who's like James Franklin. I think that like he needs to step away from managing the ball on offense and defense from game to game and give that responsibility to somebody else so he doesn't have brain cramps. Like I appreciate when coaches come out and say, "This is my fault. I screwed up here." But I can only take so much of that before, and this is why
he needs to stop screwing up now. Come on.
Correct. Exactly. Like
it's like that dynamic that me being a manager, and I'd be like, all right, like it's okay to make mistakes, but you keep making the same mistakes now. That's
correct. I mean, that's where I think Miami is a team. Yeah, man. There's a lot of talent down in South Florida. We all know that. So it's going to be, can they do what like Miami at one time was getting a lot of players from North Carolina, a lot of players from Texas, some players from around here, some players from Maryland. Can they continue to advance and get Cristobal where he's getting them players like they used to get back in the 80s and early 90s? Because, the Miami Hurricane, there's been times when their roster was as talented as any rosters in college football.
Correct.
Can they get back to that? If Mario Cristobal can stop making mistakes every week, yeah. Because in the end, let's face it, Jerome, we know in the end, kids want to win.
Correct.
I mean, if you're going to go to a Miami, you're going to go there because you think you have a shot at winning. If you're not going to go there because Mario Cristobal is the coach, as much as Mario Cristobal the recruiter. So again, it's funny because again, I'm a Dolphins fan, but I don't care about Miami. I don't care about them. I don't praise them. I don't kill them. But I hear a lot of content regarding their games because of my like
the dynamic of definitely.
So, but I think again, here's where I differ from some people. The head coach is responsible for everything.
Correct.
I don't care if it was a screw up with the defensive coordinator. I don't care if it was special teams. I don't care if it's the offense coordinator. The head coach is responsible for all of it.
Yep.
So let's stop making mistakes that cost us games. You're going to make mistakes. Let's not make an egregious mistake at the end of the game where you don't kill clock and you lose the game for me.
Correct.
Losing a play is okay. You're going to lose plays. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to miss plays. I can't lose games because of mistakes by the head coach. I'm sorry.
Correct. I agree. All right, let's get to our next game real quick. Oh, before I go to that, I'm sorry. The one thing I wanted to talk about was with Clemson. Like I said, they are 4-3 right now. Probably one of the worst years that Clemson had. Even last year when they had DJ, they had better days. Are you going to start looking at Sweeney and I know they love Sweeney out there in Carolina right now, and he's their guy, and he brought them the 2 championships they have. But is it time to start thinking about Sweeney's job?
It won't happen this year. What you'll see is they'll probably look for a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I don't see him getting removed either. I don't, but it does bring up the question because they've been losing lately. They have a highly recruited quarterback that doesn't look that great right now. Even though I love Klubnik, I love him as a high school player. I thought he was going to be world beating. I thought he was going to be a great replacement for Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. He's not looking like that right now. I know it's only his first year officially starting as the starter. It's not looking good right now in any way. And, Clemson used to be one of the cream of the crop as far as recruiting. They don't seem like they're recruiting that well right now. Even with the talent they have, they do have a lot of talent. They have a lot of great recruits. It's just not connecting. So, like, when it looks like that, I always kind of go straight to the coaching staff. Because now you got talent, you're just not bringing it out, in my opinion. So,
Agreed. I mean, the problem is that, like, and I like Klubnik too. I think he has upside,
Hmm.
but you are replacing Trevor Lawrence,
Correct, correct.
who replaced Deshaun Watson.
Hmm.
So anything he had to them to is probably going to be a little bit of a step down.
Yeah,
Again, I think it's Clemson's defense that is not holding their end of the bargain.
yeah.
But again, I'm not blaming the defense of coordinator. I'm blaming the head coach because that's what I do. I don't blame, but that's where I think I don't think they'll fire Dabo. I
Hmm.
think they will change some of his coaches and then see what happens next year.
Correct, definitely, definitely. Well, we'll definitely see. Well, let's talk about our next game. So this next game, if you are a offensive guy and you love offense and you love the high flying, you love the scoring, you love touchdowns, I pray to God you was not watching this game. We're gonna talk about Mississippi State versus Arkansas. It was literally a 7-3 game, and that came in the first half of the game. So you was watching a lot of back and forth on defense. There were some injuries that happened in the game. Will Rogers got injured in the game. I'm sorry, he had a surgery injury last week, so he wasn't in the game. So there wasn't a lot of offensive power for Mississippi State because of that. Ray, what was your total thought on this game?
That summed it up, right?
Yeah,
Like
pretty much.
7-3.
Yeah.
I mean, they set college football back 40 years with that one. I mean,
no, for real. I mean, it's crazy when you see a quarterback only get 12 attempts. Now, he was 8 for 12, so he made most of his throws, but Mississippi State barely threw the ball. It was a lot of running. It wasn't even a lot of efficient running. I'm telling you, this is straight defense. Where on the opposite side, you have Jefferson, the quarterback for Arkansas, passing for 31 yards. It wasn't a big ton of running. It was a little bit more balanced on Arkansas side actually, but it was nothing that was getting produced out of it. I mean, both teams threw picks. I think there was a couple of fumbles. Yeah, fumble return for a touchdown. That's how Arkansas had a fumble recovered, but it was a flag on that play, so they didn't get the touchdown. And that was the big thing on that one because they could have won another game. They won the game. It was again.
Jerome, I'm going to sub this come up. I'm going to sum this game up by saying this: 205 total yards of offense against 199 total yards of offense. I mean,
you see that 400 total yards in his game, which is
the whole game for both teams.
Yeah, which is one team out of that Utah game.
It's appalling. I mean,
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Jerome. I didn't get. Of course, I was at a game last weekend, so I didn't get to watch a lot of football last week. I watched what I could. Plus, correct. Notre Dame was off, so But I watched the highlights of this game. It took 2 minutes.
I'm surprised it took 2 minutes.
Well, it only did because there was a commercial in between each play.
There you go.
I mean, it was like
that threw advertisement in between.
When you look at the score, you're like, okay, well, this is really a boring game. And I really looked at the highlights. The highlights was a touchdown pass and a long field goal.
Yeah, no, it was more boring than you think. Like, and I'm a defensive guy. I love watching defense. This game was boring. This game was boring.
Here's the thing. It wasn't even, don't get me wrong, both defenses played pretty well. But it was more ineptitude on offense on both sides of the ball. On both teams, honestly.
Yeah. That was a wild game, man. I had to mention it. It was just funny for me to see that game, and I was just like, oh.
I'm checking the score throughout the day. I'm like, this has to be wrong. I mean, this can't be right.
Like, dude, you could have watched the first half. Don't even worry about the second half. Go to a different game. You got this. You got your score.
Let's face it. In today's sports, 7-3 is a boring baseball game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That's
Wow.
funny. That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very boring game. So,
All right.
all right, let's get to a
I
little
didn't
bit
talk
more.
about that one, but we did.
Yeah, we did. We did. I just wanted to throw it out there. Let's
Okay.
get to a little bit more impressive game. We got Alabama versus Tennessee. We all know this is a big rivalry. Both were ranked teams. One was 5-1. One was 6-1. So they both had one loss on their season. Alabama pulled it off. 20 to it was 20-35. It was looking like Tennessee had this game. At halftime, it was 20-7. They roared back at halftime and really rallied to win this game. They kept Tennessee from advancing or scoring at all in the second half. Ray, what was your total thoughts on this one?
This game tells me that Alabama is a top 5 team in college football, and don't be surprised to see them in the playoffs when it's all said and done, dude.
Whoa,
I
okay.
think Jalen Moreau has improved every game since early in the season when he struggled his first couple games, and every week he looks a little bit better, man.
Definitely. No, I agree. I think I totally agree with you, Ray. I think Alabama's looking a lot better this year. I mean, from the beginnings of the season where we were just like, ooh, Alabama, man, they're winning, but and then they took that loss, and you're like, all right, well, Alabama definitely taking a step back this year. They're not the same, blah blah blah. But when you have a Nick Saban and you have a team that believes they're the best team in the country, start stacking some of those wins, no matter what. Start stacking the wins. You got a coach that you believe in. You start playing, and you have players that are progressively getting better and better. Then, like you said, Ray, they might be a playoff team. I'm not sure they might be just on the outside, just because of who they're gonna be playing, and you still have to play the championship game, which is gonna probably be Georgia. They play, so we'll see about that. Even though I'm still not super high on Georgia, I still think Georgia might be the better team right now between the two. And we'll see how we'll talk about the quarterback in Georgia. I'm sorry, not the quarterback, the tight end in Georgia being injured right now, and we'll see how that kind of transpires. But yeah, man, I think that Alabama is looking like a better team. Now, I will say this, and I'll say this with much hurt in my heart to say so, because jury's still out on this player. But when Joe Milton is your best player on that team, that might be an issue. He was literally their best player on that team, and he was their best rusher, he was their best passer, and he didn't turn the ball over as far as interception. I don't know if he got it or not, but yeah, and then everybody was kind of just standing in line. Now the receiver White, he played very well in the game, but defensively, Tennessee fell apart. Joe Milton really didn't have a lot of help in the second half. He was looking really well in the first half. It was scoring, putting up points, blah blah blah. Second half, it wasn't the same. And a lot of those Joe Milton runs were because he was under duress. So. And they had to get out of there. So for me, Tennessee is going to be Tennessee. I don't think they're ever. I'm not gonna say ever, but I don't think they're going to look like how they did last year. Simply on personnel. Now they got some young guys that they recruited that are in the building, but they still being kind of redshirted and stuff like that. I have some friends that cover Tennessee, and they are calling out for their freshman quarterback already. I think it's still a little early for that. I still think Joe Milton is better than him, but I know they look into the future. I keep forgetting how to say the young man's name, Hawaiian name, so I'm not good with names. But I know they're really looking into getting him out there as well. They Tennessee right now is starting to look to the future already.
Well, which you can see there's nothing wrong with that. I think get me wrong. I think that Alabama is going to have a hard time making the playoff now because there are some unbeaten teams ahead of them.
Yeah.
But if I were a betting man, I think Michigan and Georgia are the best two teams in college football.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Alabama would have a tough time beating either one of them programs. I'm saying they couldn't do it. I'm saying it would be a tough game for them. But if you ask me, Alabama, Ohio State, Alabama, Florida State, Alabama, Washington, Alabama, Oklahoma, I would bet on Alabama.
Definitely.
That's me.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, the next few games, they're playing. Alabama's playing LSU today. No, I'm sorry, not today. They're off today. Next week they're playing LSU. The game after that they're playing Kentucky. They have Chattanooga and then Auburn. Auburn just because it's a rivalry game. You've seen how that was last year, but I think that the way the last four games are kind of lining up for Alabama, it's very possible that they can win all four of those games. LSU game probably going to be the toughest game out of all those. But like I said, they have to still go to the championship game. And if they go to the championship game, I'm not going to say they will meet up with Georgia, but it's very probable. You never know. Football's football. But Georgia's probably going to be the one there. And when they play Georgia, can they match up with Georgia? Especially if I think, they're saying that Brock Bowers is going to be out only 4 games. So that will bring him around that time. If that is the case, he should be back either the last game or right for the championship game. So if that's the case, then, Georgia will be back in full force. If Georgia stay where they at, and I don't know how they're going to be playing without Brock Bowers. We're going to see.
Here's the thing that I love about that, Jerome. Alabama, like New England, has a tendency to take your best player and make them not make it so that team doesn't beat them.
Yep.
Okay. Now we all know Georgia's a talented roster on defense. They're still talented. Yep. But the one player on offense is the one guy.
I've been saying it. Yeah.
Right. So if you're telling me that Alabama only has one guy to take away, that's a formula for Alabama winning. Again, I'm not going to say they're going to win. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of that horse when it gets to the race. And Nico Leva is a quarterback for Tennessee, who I actually like.
Yeah, I like him too.
And I think Joe Milton right now is a better passer, where he's more athletic. Leva. But I think he'd be better off just sitting on the bench because, again, you're Tennessee. You're a good program. You're a good team. I probably would wait. I would probably not put him out there and destroy his confidence at all because Joe Milton was running for his life in this game.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put a young quarterback out there under that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, honestly, could I see a package for him? I could.
Yeah.
I absolutely could. If you're looking for run a Wildcat type thing, or even a Tim Tebow dumb down offense where you're just dumping the ball off to guys around the line of scrimmage, I like him in that formula. Again, you're not going to win a championship this year. So to me, if you're Tennessee, I would play Lamaleva before the end of the year, though. I would, just to see, get him some game reps.
Definitely.
Again, so it could be just a package here, a package there. This is what you see Nick Saban do, and this is why he's so good. If he has a talented player on his team, they're going to see the field. It may only be 2-3 snaps a game, but he's going to see the field.
Yep, I agree. Yep. All right, let's get to our game picks. So, I'm sorry, it says week 5 or week 7, week 9. All right, we got week 9 picks. So we're gonna go through them real quick because I know Ray has to run. He's going to a game himself today again. So Ray like going to these games, man. He like going to these games. All right, real quick, let's get through this real quick. The first game that we have is West Virginia versus USC. USC is favored by 7. Who's taking it, Ray?
I'm taking UCF.
UCF, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm taking Central Florida.
Okay.
They're home. They're favored by 7. Looks like
I'm going the same. Yeah, I'm going the same route right there, Ray. I agree with you. All right, our next game is going to be Duke versus Louisville. Now, Louisville just coming off of a loss. They're 6-1. Duke been a very surprised team this year. They're 5-2 at the moment, though. Louisville is favored by 6 at home. Who you taking?
I'm taking Louisville. I still think they're a little bit more physical than Duke, even though they're both up-and-coming programs. They both played good football this year. I'm taking Louisville.
I'm taking Louisville, but I'm rooting for Duke. As a USC basketball fan, I hate their basketball program, but I'm kind of rooting for the football team right now. I like their. I
like both coaches. I like the programs. I think again they're both teams that are up and coming. Louisville's at home, favored by 4. I think it'll be a close game, but I'll take Louisville.
Okay. I like it. All right. I'm taking Louisville too. I just think that right now they're the better team for now. But I will be rooting for Duke, and I wouldn't be mad about losing that bet right there. So
yeah.
All right. Iowa State versus Baylor. Baylor's at home. They are. Iowa State is actually the favorite ones. They're away. Who you taking there?
I'm taking Iowa State.
I am too. The only reason why is not the only reason why, but Baylor been. At first, they looked like there was going to be a team, and they fell off the last few games. Iowa have been on the opposite end, where I feel like they are on a hotter streak right now. I feel like this is a matchup.
I think that Iowa's found their offense in their run game.
Yeah.
The defense is solid. Baylor's defense has struggled at times, like stopping people like from running the ball, and that's what Iowa State does. So that's why I would take Iowa State.
Definitely. I agree. All right, next game, we got the rivalry game, and Auburn versus Mississippi State. Both teams have been subpar, to say the least. Auburn is at home. They are favored by 6.5. Who's taking here, Ray?
I'm taking Auburn.
Yeah.
I won't feel good about it, but I'll take Auburn.
Yeah, this is going to be our first opposing one. I'm taking Mississippi State. I just think they're a slightly better team. This is probably going to be a good matchup. Auburn is at home, so that is a disadvantage for them. But I think Mississippi State, played very pretty poorly last week. Let's just say that. I don't think that's going to happen twice in a row in that kind of fashion. So I just think that Mississippi State is still the better team. Yeah.
Mississippi State's not going to play like they're wearing like winter boots.
And mud. Winter boots and mud.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm going to take Auburn. They're at home. They're favored by almost a touchdown.
Definitely.
My thing is, like, I'm not going to lie to you. I respect Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I respect Georgia. I respect a lot of the SEC teams. I don't like them very much, but I respect them.
Yeah, same here. All right, let's get to our next game. It's Utah, the 6-1 Utah versus Oregon. Utah is at home, but Oregon is favored by 6.5. Who you taking?
I'm taking Oregon.
I'm taking Oregon too. As much as I like Utah, Oregon just looks like a different.
And plus, I think that you're looking at a Utah team coming off a nice win. Maybe
Correct.
they can be a little flat this week.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, dude,
yeah, man.
Very well. I mean, Utah did very well against a USC team that, they probably maybe not had any business winning. Nobody thought they was going to win the game. Maybe diehard Utah fans thought so, but nobody thought they were going to win that game, and they had a very impressive game. Well, can they use that same formula with Oregon? I don't know. Oregon, I feel like Oregon's defense is better than USC's defense.
Oregon's defense is very better than USC.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be actually a lower scoring game than people may think it's going to be.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think that let's face it, man. It's the coach's job to get these guys up and ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I like both coaches with these programs. I think, again, the fact that Utah's home and they're still like 6.5 point underdogs, it makes it hard for me to take them. That's all.
100%. 100%. All right, let's get to our next one. I think this might be our first time talking about this team. Georgia versus Florida. No, actually, this is our second time. This is the second time. I remember we did.
Yeah,
talk about them.
I will take Georgia to win the game, but I would be rooting for Florida.
Same. And it's not like really a root for Florida kind of thing because I have no ties or like, anything like that. I just think that Florida's a good team. They have a solid defense. Their offense is pretty good. I want to see Georgia without Brock Bowers. I mean, I talked about this before in so many ways. There's so many times that Brock Bowers saved what's their quarterback name?
Oh God,
I'm blanking on his name.
I'm blanking.
But there were so many times that Brock Bowers saved this man. And yes, I think the last game he only had like 2 receptions, but just having him on the field opens things up for other people,
Yep.
So without him, I want to see how this offense kind of reacts. And this is definitely a game I'm trying to watch today in full. Because I want to see for myself how this offense reacts without him. Because I have seen from him, even in the game that I went to, who they played again, UAB. Rob Bowers again saving their quarterback in that game. It was a blowout game, so they got to kind of like relax a little bit. But in the first quarter, it was looking a little rough. I'm not gonna lie, it was looking kind of rough for a number 1 team in the country playing a UAB game. So, I'm very curious to see how this dynamic is. Now, a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's not just Brock, blah blah." I live in Georgia, so I hear a lot of this stuff. And again, it's not me hating on Georgia or it's not me rooting against Georgia. It's me just observing exactly what I see. And I know Georgia fans are gonna be Georgia fans. They're Georgia fans. They're gonna stick up for the guys no matter what. I'm just saying I'm not convinced with the quarterback. I'm just not convinced. I was more convinced with Bennett than I am this guy. I keep forgetting his name. But yeah, and Stetson Bennett, I didn't think Stetson Bennett was good either. But I had more confidence in Stetson Bennett than this guy. So we'll see how it goes.
Better than that, Georgia had more confidence in Stetson Bennett too. So
yeah, exactly. So
that's the key, Jerome. Like, we can think what we want about the quarterback. If the teams play behind them, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree. All right, let's get to our next game. It will be Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee versus Kentucky. Now, Tennessee just coming off a loss to Alabama. Kentucky was coming out really hot. Then they lost to Georgia. Then, I think they lost another game right after that, if I'm not mistaken. Kentucky's at home, but Tennessee is favored by 4. Who are you taking, Ray?
I'm taking Tennessee.
I am too.
No, I'm going to take Tennessee. Like you said, I think Tennessee bounced back with a better performance this week, and Kentucky has been playing not as well as they were earlier in the year. So,
I agree. All right, next game: New Mexico versus Nevada. Let me find that game. Here it is. It is a pick'em game. So I love having these pick'em games. Nevada is 1-6. New Mexico is 3-4. Nevada is at home. Who you taking?
I'm taking New Mexico.
I laugh because I was going to pick them too.
Yeah. I mean, again, Nevada's a horrible team.
Yeah.
Not that New Mexico's great, but they've been playing better the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to found a little bit of defense.
Yeah.
I'll take the stronger defensive team just to hold on,
Definitely. I agree with you, Ray. I definitely agree with you. Next game we're gonna be doing Cincinnati versus Oklahoma State. This line definitely moved. Oklahoma State is at home. They favored by 7.5. Who you taking, Ray?
I'm taking Oklahoma State.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, the line actually opened at like 6.5, and now it's like some places it's 8.
Dang.
Yeah, so I think Oklahoma State.
It was definitely a closer game, and that's why I wanted to talk about it because Cincinnati had some impressive wins, but a lot of bad losses, and I think this matchup is a little bit closer, but at the same time, like Oklahoma should win this game,
I mean, if Cincinnati were at home,
yeah,
I'd say they have a shot, but they're
Correct.
not. They're, again, the line is going up like almost 1.5 since Monday.
Mhm.
This is why I like the Saturday morning to do the show, because it
Yeah.
actually gives you a better idea of where the line has moved. And
Definitely.
not that whoever made the line is always wrong or always right, but it gives you an idea of what the betting public thinks. And I will move my opinion according to that. I do.
Cheater. Anyway,
Just looking for information, man. That's all.
That's it. No, I hear you. All right, let's get to our next game. Marshall versus Carolina. Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is actually at home, but Marshall is favored by 3. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this one moved 2 because it was Coastal Carolina that was favored. If I'm not mistaken. Now I think it swung the opposite way.
I don't know if they were favored. I think it went from like a 2-point line to a 4-point line, though. And honestly,
this game is going to actually be on NFL Network, which is very interesting.
Well, I mean, the thing I like about Coastal Carolina is they run a good offense.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually a team that plays hard every game.
Correct.
I think Marshall's a little more physical than them, though.
Yeah. I'll say this: Coastal Carolina's defense is not like it used to be.
No, it used to be better than it's been the last year or two.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also think Grayson McCall haven't had that year where you're like at some points it was like, oh, he might be a first round pick, even being at Coastal Carolina, and he haven't had that year that kind of like kept him in that first round rank like talk. He was talking about transferring. Wound up not doing that. Stayed at Coastal Carolina, and his performance wasn't the same since then.
No, it's weird. He was the one that it looked like he might want to transfer, and then he stayed, and he probably should have transferred the way he's been playing, basically.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I'm going to take Coastal just on pure. I just like the team. I think they're a good team. Defense is not as good. I haven't seen a lot of Marshall play this year. I usually actually keep an eye on Marshall more than I have this year. But I just think that Coastal Carolina right now, I just think they can pull us off. I think it's going to be a good game, though. I already do.
Okay. So you're taking Coastal then?
Yeah, I'm taking Coastal.
All right.
Cool. All right, last one. Wyoming versus Boise State. Boise State is at home. They are favored by 4.5. Wyoming is 5-2, and Boise State is 3-4. Who are you taking there, Ray?
I'm taking Boise State. I am. I think that the 5-point line, the fact they're at home, the fact that if they win this game, they're in a good spot to get a bowl game, and if they lose it, they're probably out of the bowl game picture. So,
definitely. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember, but I think Wyoming had a major injury on this team, which is probably causing that line to look how it is. Wyoming had a good season. I mean, their biggest loss was obviously Texas. They just coming off a loss against Air Force. Air Force is a hard team to win sometimes just because how they play offense and things like that. So sometimes it can get a defense feeling uncomfortable. So I'm not gonna bash them too hard on that game because it was only a 7-point game too, and again Saturday. So, but they beat some good teams. Appalachian State, they beat Fresno, who was ranked. You even in that Texas game, it wasn't like a complete blowout. I mean, they lost 31-10, but they made it look okay, for a team that's playing against a Texas team. So I think I'm gonna do Wyoming. I gotta check on that injury report because I think that's what's going on right now, and I can't remember who it was. But for now, and I could be wrong on this pick because I do think it's an injury, but I can't remember who it is. But just based on the team and who they played and how they've been looking, I'm gonna go Wyoming.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Thank you for getting on. We do appreciate everybody that's on. I see we have some viewers on here watching. We do appreciate each and one of you guys being on today. Make sure you like and subscribe while you're over there. And if you enjoyed us, make sure you check us out. We usually do our podcast on Wednesday nights. We're thinking about switching it to Saturday mornings. Have kind of like a pre-game kind of thing. So we'll see how that works because I know that we have our Air It Out podcast on Saturday mornings too. My schedule is a little wonky, so keep an eye on that. We will probably make an announcement at some point. But that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you check us out on all social media. If you see that little QR code right under Ray, that will help you guys get to all social media. We talk football all the time. We do college, high school, pro football. We got a new podcast called The First and Foremost Podcast where we talk all high school football on there. So if you like high school football, especially Georgia football, we talk a lot about that on there as well. The new podcast we just started, it's going to be on Tuesday nights. So definitely make sure you check us all out on all our platforms. We do appreciate that. That's Inside the Hatches. This is RPO College Football Podcast. My name is Jerome Jones. That's Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. And we see y'all on the next one. Hope you have a great week. Enjoy your college football. Peace.